It is officially trade season for the 49ers, and to commemorate that, we're up on top of a San Francisco rooftop at Golden Hour. Look, Golden Gate Bridge is that way, right behind me. 49ers right now, they're down their top 3 edge rushers. Nick Bosa, Yetur Gross-Matos, Bryce Huff. Edge rusher is probably the most effective position you could trade for because it's plug and play. Nobody will ever forget Fred Dean coming over to the 49ers in 1981. That was the cherry on top that the 49ers needed. What can they do about the edge rushing position here in 2025? Talk to Kyle Shanahan. His conference call from Monday afternoon is going to be tacked on to the end of this video. For the second or third time, he did not deny that the 49ers are interested in making a trade. He even straight up said that obviously they would like some help at the pass rusher position. They are now down their 3 top pass rushers. Nick Bosa, Bryce Huff, injured the hamstring, and Yetur Gross-Matos, who has a hamstring injury. It'll only be a couple games of a Bryce Huff injury, but those are still 2 games the 49ers may now lose because they've lost a critical amount of pass rushers. So John Lynch has got to pull out his Buster Posey. Do you guys see on the wall there? We see Buster Posey. It's a mural that features some 49ers. This place called Carlin's Cafe. You could see Posey, you could see Sandoval, the Montana and 49ers part of the mural is elsewhere. It's around the corner, so I wasn't able to capture it as we passed it there. But John Lynch is going to have to continue working the phones. I've got some names and I've got some potential opportunities because I promised that as October moved along, we'd start getting a better idea of who might be a buyer, who might be a seller. Well, I think it's fairly safe to say the New York Jets should be sellers at 0-7. So you got Will McDonald IV, the former Iowa State product. Player has come out of that school. His name is Brock Purdy. And you've got Jermaine Johnson. But both of these guys have Robert Saleh familiarity, and Robert Saleh has familiarity with them. They're both younger players who I think could fit the 49ers framework well. Both guys under contract through 2026, which is very, very important. Kyle Shanahan again reiterated that yes, it would benefit the 49ers and it would much more please the 49ers if they could trade for somebody who could help them in 2026, not just be a rental for 2025. But he also said that they can't just limit themselves to players who are under contract beyond this season. At a certain point, the short-term needs start to weigh heavier and heavier on your mind. And with a win over the Falcons, especially with the rushing indicators that the 49ers gave offensively, they rushed for 170 plus yards, showed some real sustainability on offense. With that being part of the formula, the huge part of the formula that led to the 49ers win, they can very reasonably start thinking big ticket here in 2025. They can reasonably start saying, okay, we truly are one of the contenders in this season. That 5-2 record. I mean, we're watching 2 other contenders right now. By the time that this video runs, I'm not sure if it's going to be the Bucks or if it's going to be the Lions winning. Tez Johnson just caught a 22-yard touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield. So we've obviously got to keep our eyes on both of those teams. Those are 2 of the NFC powers, right? The Lions and the Bucks. But I think that the 49ers absolutely belong in that conversation. They hung in there with the Bucks despite the fact that they saw a catastrophic loss to Fred Warner in the midst of that game on the road with their backup quarterback. I mean, San Francisco theoretically is only going to get healthier as this season progresses. So you look at the Jets, winless, obviously have a couple pass rushers that could help the 49ers, and then the Miami Dolphins. And there have been reports that the teams are circling around like vultures around Miami, looking at some of the veteran edge rushers on their roster because it's going 1-6 for Mike McDaniel and his team. It's not good. That they might soon enter sell mode. In fact, it might make sense. Bradley Chubb is the big name. And Chubb is under contract through 2027. He suffered an ACL tear at the end of that 2023 season that sidelined him for all of 2024. He's back now. He's not been nearly as good and as productive as a pass rusher as he was before the ACL tear, but he's absolutely still a guy worth keeping an eye on because he's got no guaranteed money beyond this season. And he's a veteran who has a proven track record of getting to the pass rusher, and it could just be that he needs a change of scenery into a more appetizing environment, and I think the 49ers definitely qualify as that. If he can be had for a reasonable price, it could be somebody the 49ers are very interested in. There's also Jalen Phillips in Miami, somebody who's dealt with injury issues of his own. He's significantly younger. He's in his 20s, unlike Bradley Chubb, who's delivered some pass rushing productivity already this year. And then they've also got Matthew Judon in Miami. That would be a strict rental player. Whereas you'd have Jalen Phillips is on the final fifth-year option of his deal, so I guess that you could say it's a rental player as well. But it could also be somebody that you think about keeping around for longer. Somebody like Matthew Judon is 33 years old and is obviously at the tail end of his career, still generating some pass rushing productivity, nothing like a few years ago. That'd definitely be a rental player and somebody who probably falls into the bucket of a trade that the 49ers would have to be really, really desperate to make. And I'm not sure that they're at that point yet. But I think that just if you look at it, it's just a funny situation that the 49ers find themselves in. Because yes, they are 5-2. Things are going well on the standings front. They are in the driver's seat of the NFC West, but somehow they got to 5-2, and you don't normally see this. They got to this record despite losing their top 3 pass rushers on the way to 5-2. And Bryce Huff is the latest injury now, and that really leaves the 49ers in a very, very tough position. There's San Francisco City Hall, always like panning toward it as we pass it on our way up from the Mission to Russian Hill. Look at the sun-splashed San Francisco City Hall. We continue down Van Ness. I wonder if Casper is going to make this light. There's a sense of urgency from Casper to make a trade and make the light. Good job. There we go. We got another one coming up here. I think we're going to make this one easily. 10 seconds, 5 seconds now. Casper blowing through it. So Casper is definitely willing to make a move, making moves up and down Van Ness here. The 49ers, I think, are willing to make a move. They just have to find one that fits. And it's going to take 2 to tango as well. It's not just about the 49ers wanting to press a button and make a trade. I do wonder if, there's urgency to make one a little bit more quickly now, because given the fact that you'll have no Bosa, no Huff, maybe no Yeturgos Matos, we didn't get an update on him, against Houston here coming up on Sunday. The lack of a pass rusher for the 49ers could mean a loss. It could be the difference between a win and a loss. That's how much rides on a potential move. I think they've got to do something at defensive end this week. Obviously sign somebody for depth purposes. That could be a stopgap measure. But if you're going to make a trade anyway, or if you have a big-time desire to make a trade anyway ahead of the November 4th deadline, are you willing to pay a little bit extra to get one done this week? And again, it will take 2 to tango. You can't just press a button to make that happen. But if you're planning to offer a 4th-round pick, do you offer a 3 instead? I mean, just speculation like that is what is on my mind at this point, because I do think that they've hit this critical mass of injuries at defensive end to where a trade this week may actually be the difference, at least on paper, between a win and a loss against a team like the Houston Texans, who have had a middling offense so far this year. The problem is that a middling offense can start to look pretty damn good if you can't put a rush on it. Yesterday against the Falcons, Michael Penix was a rating of 104.5 and 7.2 yards per attempt when the 49ers didn't pressure him. When they did pressure him, that rating went down into the 40s, and he was down at 4.7 yards per attempt. He was 3 of 13. Okay, so this guy was excellent when it was passing league football at 7 on 7, and he was terrible at 3 of 13 when the 49ers put some pressure on him. And the way that they were able to get there is they stopped the run game, 3.1 per carry for Atlanta, and they pinned their ears back and rushed the passer. That's where Bryce Huff excels, right? But with no Huff, even if you're pinning your ears back, are you disrupting the quarterback? coming up against Houston. I think it's a good formula for the 49ers if they don't make any improvements here. It's a really good formula to make C.J. Stroud look good on Sunday. So this is a major, major concern for the 49ers, who are absolutely contenders, but they're contenders despite the fact that they've lost so much and continue losing so much, not only in the pass rushing front, but elsewhere. But the quickest fix in this NFL, especially defensively, the easiest plug-and-play fix is for somebody that roars off the edge as a pass rusher. And the 49ers did it in 1981. They felt that they were lacking there, and they were able to make the trade for the future Hall of Famer, Fred Dean. That completely tilted the scales in their defense's favor, and I will wait with bated breath, with great intrigue, to see what the 49ers might do coming up here over the next 2 weeks. It is worth mentioning that Sam Okawanu played his best game as a 49er. 5 pressures, got in there for a sack. I mean, they needed it bad against the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to need Sam bad moving forward now that Bryce Huff is down. But I just think that you need multiple of these guys. They've now lost multiple players. It was an obvious trade candidate situation opening the season just for depth purposes, because they were skating on thin ice with a lot of reliance on Yetur Gross-Matos and his injury history and the outside-in adaptability that they're relying on from him. And after Yetur went down, and obviously with the Nick Bosa injury, that was the first one for the 49ers. But after Yetur went down, it almost seemed like a foregone conclusion that the 49ers would need some help to stay in contention. And now here we are with those top 3 guys not available for San Francisco. Now, linebacker help via trade is much less likely for the simple reason that linebacker is a more complicated position. And the 49ers, yesterday, they showed just how well coached this football team is with the play that Tatum Bethune put on tape and the communication he put on tape, and then what Curtis Robinson was able to do while Bethune was out of the game for about 9 snaps. And it all happened so quickly that Curtis Robinson didn't even have a chance to grab the helmet with radio in it. So he had to be the Mike linebacker. He had to make all those calls to the defense without the radio in his helmet. He had to do it by reading Robert Saleh's lips and by using hand signals, just like back in college. I think that's a very good sign of a well-prepared team, a well-coached team, where even your third-string linebacker is ready to do the job without the technology that's ubiquitous in the league now, without the helmet radio. And Curtis did a fantastic job over those 9 snaps. Anyway, the 49ers just they're so well coached at linebacker. They seem so set at that position. Nobody's downplaying the loss of Fred Warner, but I think that just the fact that Robert Saleh's got that linebacker coach's background, Johnny Holland is so good at his job, and the 49ers just seem to develop that position so well. I think all of that combined means that they feel very good about maintaining a solid level of play at that second level. I think it's the pass rush where they've just lost so much at this point, that and the plug and play nature of it too. Linebacker's not nearly as plug and play unless you're able to get somebody like Quincy Williams for the Jets, who's played under Robert Saleh. But I think that the pass rusher part of this is where it makes most sense for the 49ers to make a move. And they have not been shy about their desire to make one. Now, it's interesting because all the talk had been focused on Trey Hendrickson up until the Bengals were able to notch the upset victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you guys know my thoughts on this. I do not think that Cincinnati is out of the woods yet. I still think this is a bad team. They notched an upset over Pittsburgh, but they still can lose over the course of the next couple of weeks ahead of the trade deadline, and they still have a losing record, and they still have a terrible efficiency profile. And if there's any shrewdness in that front office, if they do lose again, they should recognize that keeping Trey Hendrickson at the price of a sunk cost is absolutely not worth it. He has already refused to sign a long-term deal with this team once, and he's scheduled to be a free agent this offseason. The Bengals just so happen to play the New York Jets on Sunday. And the Jets actually have a better efficiency profile than the Bengals, even though they don't have a win. Just imagine if the Jets beat Cincinnati I mean, it would undo any sense of momentum and positive feeling of the Cincinnati win over the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, if you lose to the Jets, I feel that you're almost forced to pack it in and say, admit defeat with the whole Trey Hendrickson thing. So I would say never on anything until the trade deadline actually hits on November 4th. And consider the fact that the 49ers have been so aggressive making trades on a year-in, year-out basis. There's only been one season under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch during which the 49ers have not made a move, and that was 2018. But even 2017, when they were, 0-8? They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. 2019, Emmanuel Sanders. 2020, Jordan Willis. 2021, Charles Omenihu. Go to an actual edge rusher trade in 2021. That paid off huge in the postseason for San Francisco. Charles hadn't done much with Houston, but it turned out that they just didn't know how to use him with the Texans. He was backing up Tyron Smith into Dak Prescott in the playoff game in Dallas by the time that the wild card round hit. I mean, the 49ers taught Charles Omenihu how to turn that length into power very, very quickly. Turned into a very productive player that signed for a lot of money with the Kansas City Chiefs. 2022, yesterday was the 3-year anniversary of the 49ers making the massive trade for Christian McCaffrey. So, yeah, I mean, that was one of the most aggressive trades in NFL history. I mean, what the 49ers did there, they were criticized. Didn't ESPN.com give him like a D or an F for that trade? A lot of people saying, this is terrible. They should have never traded for Christian McCaffrey. Well, I'm sure that those people would like to revisit their takes now, because that one aged, not the take, the trade aged incredibly well for the 49ers. 2023, Chase Young was one of the big 49ers pickups. 2024, they traded for Khalil Davis, a defensive tackle. He didn't see the field for them, but that was a season that was headed towards 6-11 for the 49ers, so wasn't much of a buy situation anyway for San Francisco. Now they're 5-2. The 49ers are one win away from matching their entire 2024 total. They've already won 3 times as many division games as they did in 2024. They only won 1 that season, and they are, in a spot where the locker room has already shown so much toughness, so much resilience, to where you want to reward culture at some point. Let's check in on our favorite Italian place, Amarena. Looking good. People enjoying the outdoor dining on this beautiful Monday night. The aggressiveness that we've seen from the 49ers in the trade market over this entire Shanahan-Lynch tenure should tell you all you need to know about what they're thinking about this year. And yes, they've got to maintain draft capital for the future, and they have to look at this in terms of the 3-year window. But it one of those things where the 49ers are hoping to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And that goes back to finding a player who might be able to stick around beyond 2025. There's a look at Alcatraz. Here's one final turn for Casper. We're arriving at our destination. Brace yourselves. Trade season is here, and the 49ers need an edge rusher more than ever.
All right, guys. Injuries from yesterday. Renardo Green with his toe. We'll just continue evaluating this week. Ended up clearing turf toe, though. Jake Brindle has a hamstring. He's expected to miss a couple of weeks. And also, we found out that Huff also has a hamstring. Will also be in that same boat with possibly a couple weeks. Updates on players who missed the game. Stout, evaluating this week. Ricky, same thing. We'll evaluate him more on Wednesday. Brock will continue like he did last week. And Nietzsche's got to continue with his rehab. Also got a chance to possibly open up Spencer Burford's window for his knee this week. All right, go ahead.
Kyle, is it a reach to say that Brock is on track to start this week?
Yeah, I would say that is. I don't know. No one said that.
Okay.
What kind of the next two games are not on natural grass? Does that factor at all into when you bring Brock back?
No, not that I've been told.
Anything jump out at you from watching the film that maybe you didn't notice last night, or that you got a chance to take a second look at?
I just think it kind of confirmed the feeling that I think that we all had out there. I mean, guys played really hard. It was a really physical game. Loved how physical we played on teams. Loved how physical we played on offense, and I loved how the guys were running and hitting on defense. It was the type of game we wanted.
Kyle, what happened on the with the green dot with Curtis Robinson?
Oh, it just happened so fast, just in the middle of that series. So he just went out quick, and they didn't change the helmets. So, I mean, the defense isn't that wordy of a deal, so we were able to get it done there. And when they were going to change the helmets, that Tatum was good and was able to come back.
Kyle, how big of a deal is it to just have Tatum, unlike the week previous, to have all the reps in practice, as far as just being sound with the assignments? And how do you feel that he carried out those assignments and what Robert asked him to do?
I think it's a huge deal. I mean, you definitely get reps in the week as a backup, but not like the starter. And when it comes to someone like the Mike position or a center or a quarterback, there's just so much that goes into play there that no matter how much you study, you'd like to get live reps and thinking in the heat of battle. And him getting all those this week, I think, helped him a ton. He was good in practice and carried over to the game.
And speaking of center, how did Hennessy do as far as knowing his assignments and keeping everybody on the same page?
I think similar to how Tatum was. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but he works really hard at it. We definitely mix him in with reps, and for him to get thrown in that situation, especially versus defense that stunts a lot and changes their fronts and definitely pressures at a high rate, I thought he did very well, and I think he'll only do better with more reps this week.
Kyle, how did you feel your safety combination did with Jair Brown being in there for all the snaps and Malik kind of getting in there a little bit more this week?
I thought they did. I thought they played real well. It was nice to double Malik's double his reps. I think he ended up getting 40, maybe 41, which is twice as much as the week before. So I like how that's played out, and hopefully we'll be done with that, and he'll get all of them going forward. But Tiggs played real good in these two games in that role, and also I really liked what Siegel did when he was in there, and I loved Jason getting those reps at big nickel. Unlike he did versus Tampa, I thought he did well too. I think he ended up getting about, I'm not sure, around 15 to 20 plays.
You guys now have injuries. You have injuries to 3 defensive ends. Does that increase the urgency to make a trade? And is that something that you would try to do ahead of this week's game at Houston?
I don't think it changes the urgency of it. I mean, it's definitely sucks losing Huff, but it is a hamstring, and hopefully it won't be longer than 2 weeks. So you know that he's coming back, and sooner than later. But those guys have been looking into that stuff all the time for the last few weeks, and I'm sure they'll continue over the next couple of weeks.
How did Bryce get hurt on a specific player, or was it kind of an accumulation thing? Do you have any idea on that? How did you think?
Yeah, I was told it was right at the end. I was told he felt it on the last 2 plays.
Kyle, how close did Jordan Watkins get to playing yesterday?
I mean, he's one of the guys that's up, so, I mean, if there would have been an injury, he would have been up. But I guess that's always pretty close.
Malik
Turner made a couple of good... Oh. Go ahead, Matt. Same question.
All right, well, I'll go. Malik Turner had a good game on special teams. And I think that was the 3rd time he's been elevated. What do you plan to do with him there? It seems like special teams is a nice spot for him.
Yeah, it was awesome. I thought he played real well. He ended up getting our special teams player of the week, I was just told. So I was pumped with what Malik did for us. Had an awesome week of practice too. He is out of flexes, so we'll see how that goes moving forward. But it's kind of tied to the rest of the roster with that decision.
Coach, after
being able to watch the tape, what'd you think of Matt Hennessy and Connor Colby? If you got to look back, of course, at the Christian McCaffrey touchdown and just how much they assisted in the run game after the game. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey both gave them a lot of credit.
Yeah, both of them did a good job. I mean, you can't run the ball like that unless everyone's doing a good job. They definitely had their plays they missed. By no means was it perfect, but I liked how they battled throughout the game. Thought Connor improved from the week prior, and I thought it was a good start for Matt.
Kyler was talk among some of the linemen and stuff afterwards about the sort of the difference in blocking in terms of more gap scheme stuff and getting away a little bit from the outside zone. Is that accurate? And two, how difficult is that for a team that's pretty much mostly a outside zone team to all of a sudden turn on a dime and be a gap team in 1 week?
I think that would be hard to do it that drastically. That's why I think that's a little bit exaggerated. I mean, we do gap schemes every week, some weeks more than others. We did a lot of gap schemes in that game, but we also did a lot of outside zone schemes in that game. I think that's just the difference when you get 39 runs too. You get a little bit more of everything. But we definitely liked those going into it. We thought it tied well together, and we felt we kind of balanced them out with those stuff, which ended up working for us well.
How did you think Luter played last night?
I thought Luter played real well. It was cool. We were talking about how good of a week he had in practice with the defense and with the scout team. He was showing up on both. And when he got his opportunity, when Renardo went down, I thought he was very active. You could feel him in the run game. Just his presence physically, I thought was huge, and I thought he had a big impact in that game.
What did he do to earn Scout Team Player of the Week?
Played better than everybody else. There's lots of stuff that goes into it, but I mean, when you're doing Scout Team Player of the Week, you need to give the look that we're asking. Sometimes change up techniques a little bit, but we also want to see you play at a competitive level to where you're getting better in your own craft. So it goes with both of those. You gotta perform and do a high level that shows that you're playing good and improving, and you also got to make sure that you get across the look that we want, so you're preparing the guy across from you.
Kyle, do you think you guys
got
back to your personality, so to speak, in terms of the way you ran the ball and the way you played physically? Or is it a game-by-game thing? You do whatever you do it takes to win that week? Or do you want to play a certain way as much as possible?
I always love just being able to physically run the ball and control the game like that. I think most people prefer to do it that way, but each team has a different identity, and you got to do whatever you think gives you the best chance to win. And we did think that would give us the best chance to win specifically in this game, but we haven't been able to do that yet this year. So that maybe it probably has been our identity more in the past, especially going back a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago. It was huge with us. Doesn't mean that we can't do it, and doesn't mean we're going to do it all the time. But it was really cool yesterday because we believe that was the smarter way to do it. We felt that was the way that would give us the best chance to win, and I was glad that the whole team allowed us to pull that off.
Kyle, on the subject of the trade deadline, would you find it imperative that if you were to acquire a player, you wouldn't just want him for the rest of this season? You'd want him for this season and potentially next year as well?
Yeah, I don't like to say imperative at all, just because I don't like to put an absolute on anything. But yeah, I think that's something that we definitely would prefer. Of course, we want someone to help us out this year, but I'd love it not to be at the expense of our team next year. Also, I know we all feel that way, and hopefully, we can find a situation that does both. And if not, you don't do something like that just to do it. And I'm really excited about the guys we have in our building right now, also.